Academic paper reveals Hong Kong student protesters were paid to be guinea pigs in bizarre experiment that may have gone wrong. This is by Kit Clarenberg on RT. Allegations that pro-democracy activists in Hong Kong have been paid for their activities have swirled for years, but have always been strenuously rubbished by the Western media. Now, an academic study seems to confirm just that. And Kit Clarenberg goes on to explain how this was a supposedly scientific experiment. There were over 800 students who were offered financial remuneration if they went to the protests and carried out a specific task. And if they did that, they would pay them 350 Hong Kong dollars. And what they found out was that not only were students who were offered financial gain, not only did more of them go and participate than the control group, but if they knew that their friends were also going, it would increase participation in the protest by over 8-fold. Kit Clarenberg's piece admits that the university started to back off from this study as more scrutiny started to surround the protests and the financial backing by the US government through the National Endowment for Democracy, who wasn't necessarily paying off the protesters directly, but they were paying these opposition groups who were organizing and supporting the protests. Now, one other thing I want to kind of point out about this is that there is more than one incentive to get people out there onto the streets. Money is a very compelling incentive, but there are others. Think about what social media does. Think about that like and share button. When you post something on Facebook or on Twitter and people like it or retweet it or share it, you're getting a little bit of a dopamine hit there. And you will notice that people will change their entire behavior around what people like and what people don't like. And social media companies, especially US-based social media companies like Twitter and Facebook, have specific algorithms to control how much of a certain type of content is exposed to other people to rack up those likes and shares. So think about it. If you're one of these protesters and Facebook has tweaked their algorithm to get anyone posting protester content out there liked and shared more than other content, that is going to activate the dopamine in your brain, and it is going to encourage you to go out to those protests more often, to invite your friends to go, and to do more and more radical things to get attention while at the protests. And it becomes a form of incentive. Sometimes as powerful as money, sometimes even more so. A lot of these kids, they have these Facebook accounts. They'll be lucky if they get 5 or 10 likes on a particular post. If they get 30, 40, 100, 1,000 likes because they were at a protest, do you think that they're not going to just go back out to the protests as often as possible to get that sort of attention? Of course they are. And if you think I'm exaggerating about this, here is an article from The Guardian, ex-Facebook president Sean Parker's site made to exploit human vulnerability. Facebook has figured out how to hack people. And it says right down here, when Facebook was being developed, the objective was, how do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible? It was this mindset that led to the creation of features such as the like button that would give users a little dopamine hit to encourage them to upload more content. It's a social validation feedback loop, exactly the kind of thing that a hacker like myself would come up with because you're exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology. This is what they are admitting to. This is what they admit to doing. And they have since tweaked their algorithm to control how much of your content is seen, even by people who follow you. So if there is content that they want to promote, they will tweak their algorithm to get people posting that content exposed to more potential views and thus more potential likes and shares, and encouraging you to post even more content of that nature. And if you think that Facebook and Twitter have nothing to do with US-backed regime change, think again. Look at this New York Times article from 2011. US groups helped nurture Arab uprising, and they admit a number of the groups and individuals directly involved with the revolts and reforms sweeping the region received training and financing from groups like the International Republican Institute, the National Democratic Institute, and Freedom House. These all fall under the National Endowment for Democracy, and down here it admits that some Egyptian youth leaders and other opposition group leaders as well attended this 2008 technology meeting. It was sponsored by Facebook and Google and the US State Department, and those people trained there learned how to exploit social media to help boost attendance at protests and to coordinate their activities, to circumvent state security agencies, and in general how to divide and destroy their countries, which is exactly what happened all throughout the Arab Spring. That's what happened in the protests in Hong Kong. They were violent riots, and now we see the same thing here in Thailand and also in neighboring Myanmar. So it's really important that people understand how sophisticated this is, how they are hacking you psychologically, how they're using social media, how they have infiltrated the universities, how they are doing studies on how to do this more effectively. If you thought this video was useful, please like and share it. Think about subscribing. It helps the channel grow and it's free to do. Check the video description for Kit Klarenberg's piece in RT, as well as to these other articles that I was discussing in this video. There's also ways there that you can help support my work, like by becoming a Patreon member. You can support my work month to month. You get a little bit of extra content. There are channels of communication where we can help build a community around this work. To everyone everywhere helping me in every way, thank you so much. I couldn't do this without your support. And as always, thank you for watching.